Welcome everybody to our daily energy prayer here on YouTube Live. My name is Jona Bryndis and I guide you through your daily 20 minutes of arriving in yourself, saying yes to yourself and learning how to pray to higher power. Welcome everybody. Today is Wednesday. And on Wednesdays, our energy prayer is followed by what I call the energy talk, where we actually get to interact, where we actually get to talk about topics on your heart that you would like to share maybe, or to ask or inquire about the more holistic or energetic perspective with the inner experience of higher power in our energy meditation. This is a full-on meditation for 20 minutes, so you're going to see me sit here with my eyes closed. Yeah, the time for you to really go within and learn how to tune into your inner experience. So I'm very excited. First, we are going to hone in, focus on higher power and ask it for support. Then we're going to talk about what's on our hearts, what's on our minds, share, learn from another, and then we are going to go into the deeper inner experience together. It's wonderful. If you only have a few minutes time for the energy prayer, no worries, there's going to be a recording that you can watch here on the channel, or if you're part of my email list that I can send to you. Yeah, today, as we are arriving, as we're starting our daily prayer with fully arriving in the here and now and in our own bodies, I want to show you how to best do this, how to actually feel yourself. If you can, be barefoot. If it doesn't work, that's fine. But there is something extremely grounding about feeling your feet touch the ground. It isn't until you feel the ground that you can actually feel sort of the end of yourself down there. Then we talk a lot about conscious breathing. Obviously, that's another very effective way to feel yourself, by just focusing on that which your body does. Your body does that for you, you know. Thankfully, we don't have to think about breathing. So taking a conscious breath, maybe focusing on what it sounds like, what it feels like in your belly. You want to make sure that your belly extends, that you open up your diaphragm, that you let this breath of life that provides oxygen for your body, that you let that in. And as I always tell the kids in my school, to not forget to breathe out, because if you have too much old air in your system, there is not enough space for fresh air. So you breathe in, take a good deep belly breath, you hold it for a moment, and then you breathe out. Try to breathe out as long as you can. Even when you think it's all out, push out the last bit of air. And then you start again and breathe in. And you'll feel that you can take in much more breath, much more life force, much more air. Here in this sacred self-healing community, we teach breathing through the heart, which is another step up to this, where we learn to activate our vagus nerve, that's part of our parasympathetic nervous system, to calm ourselves down. So to all of you who are suffering from too much mental overlay, too much thinking, too much unknown, too much uncertainty, too much physical anxiety symptoms, the fastest way for you to get a handle on this is to actually focus on your breath and feel your feet. Next level is to actually hug yourself, to actually feel yourself, to feel your own skin. I like the heat in Florida because it allows me to not having to wear too much clothing throughout the year. I can always touch my skin, my legs. It's very, very important for you to actually arrive in yourself. Then next, and this is then the bridge to actually engaging in prayer, is that we want to connect our left and right hemisphere. We want to connect our hands, our masculine and our feminine energies within, by folding our hands either in this way or in the classical praying way, or in this way, or you just hold your hands together. Quite frankly, it is not important. The important part is more that you see your hands as extensions of your own duality, as this mortal part in you, this physical 3D part, and your other hand as this immortal, this eternal soul self that you are, that is linked to the divine, or to the source of all existence. And when you bring these two together in this awareness, then it allows you to remember something, namely that you're not just a bag of flesh, that you're not just a body. And more so, you also come to realize that if this impulse that we all feel, this impulse that we're more than just a body, if that is real, if we make this real, that it also means that everything that is after this life will continue on. What most people forget, though, is that everything before this life, the pre-life stage, is a place. It is a reality. It is a dimension within ourselves. It is where we came from. And this part, when you are on this path to seek what it actually is, that connects you with higher power, with the divine, this part needs to get more attention, because that is the part where our soul is from. That's our soul home, if you will. If we can already wrap our minds around the fact that as a 3D human, we are on a 3D journey here, like a trip, okay? That means that we have to have been somewhere before we came here. And that means that there must be a place, a dimension, where we go after we're done with this experience. And if you break it down, in spiritual sciences, we break this down, what that is in us that informs us about that. We would probably call this something like a faith, or something like a spiritual belief. And when you pray, it is not important what kind of image or what kind of understanding you have of higher power. It is just important that you remember that there is a higher power. And when you become accustomed to experience this higher power from within yourself, basically as the God force, the God spark in you, then it becomes easier for you to remember that this 3D physical life here with this body is a part of a much bigger journey. There's a much bigger picture to this. This is typically what we call holistic, not just related to our 3D dimensions of self, how we experience ourselves physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and energetic, but also beyond that, that there is something there that we know that communicates with us, that communes with us. And when we do a prayer, we are choosing to consciously communicate with this higher power. This helps to focus on what it actually is that we are praying to, and it allows us to remember, it's a deep remembrance, that we are interacting with a part of ourselves, with a different dimension, a higher dimension of ourselves, if you will, that is part of a greater spiritual reality. And when it comes to the struggles of life and the suffering that we have to go through or that we perceive, we often forget this. We have all these fears around the world, ourselves. We have these really strong health scares right now. Sorry guys, I have something in my eye here. That focus us on our physical existence only, that focus us on this 3D matter, the materialistic dimension of our life only. And if you want to really go a step deeper here, and you want to come up with a way maybe to save yourself, or to save the world, or to save humanity, it's very important to understand that there is much more than just saving people's bodies. There is nothing in this 3D world that can save us from eventually dying. It's important to become aware of that. So when it comes to this contemplation about death and life and, disease and health, it's very important to understand that there are also different dimensions to health. How much, for example, am I in communication with this higher power aspect in me? Whether you see it as God or as Allah, as Yahweh, as Krishna, as Brahma, as Buddha. Doesn't matter how you understand higher power, but we need to remember that there is something like our overall health that continues beyond our physical existence. So later in the energy talk, I want to go a little deeper into this, what health actually means, and with it also spiritual health, to become more clear about what it actually is that needs saving. Many of you, when you focus on what you want to pray for, come up with physical health. And there's nothing wrong with that, because our physical health is quite important. It's a really, really important part of our spiritual journey. There's a reason why we're here. Why would we voluntarily leave a place where we don't have to deal with duality, where we don't have to deal with emotions and fears and all this physical restriction? Because it fulfills a purpose. And that purpose shines through us embodying this higher power here on this journey. So now you might ask, well, how do I best embody my higher power, my higher expression here in this physical life? If I have to deal with disease, if I have to deal with uncertainty, with all kinds of lack and all kinds of disappointment and pain, how can I embody that? That is the path that we have chosen. That is the path that we need to remember. Embodiment does not mean to be a perfect human. A perfect human will always be mortal, will always be dualistic, will always have an ego mind. The task or the purpose of embodiment is to execute this universe's highest power that is out there, the power of transformation, the power of transmuting something from a lower vibratory into a higher vibra state, or from a lower expression into a higher expression. We all know what lower expressions in life are. It's basically our sins, okay? And so most religions pick up on that and say, oh, you gotta get a handle on your lower expressions, on all your sins and your primal desires. And to a degree, there is a truth in that, because this is part of the lower expression of being human. But there is also a guilt and a shame factor with that in most religions, which can block us, on the other hand. Block us to see how we can actually claim this higher expression that flows through us at all times. How can we claim that? And this is something that comes from the deep study of spirituality, namely to actually feel that, to feel that there is a power in you that can pretty much transcend anything. That can transcend pain into love. Due to the power of our consciousness, due to the power of our choice in a given moment. And that can then be seen as the higher expression. Not the higher route. The higher route, which is also associated with righteousness in religions, this comes quite frequently, is comparing my expression with your expression. This isn't a race, this isn't a popularity contest, this isn't relative to how good my neighbor does. My spiritual health, my spiritual awakening, my spiritual awareness is a choice from within. Every soul has to make that a conscious choice. Nobody can do this for us. So when it comes to saving the world or saving humanity, which is also a frequent aspect or topic that we want to pray for, it's very important that we understand what needs saving from what, and how that can be done. And if you just want to follow me here in this sort of train of thoughts that I have created for you, then I would suggest that we recognize that what we all need saving from, including our planet, is the materialistic, the single-sided perspective on what it means to be human. In fact, actually the lower expression. And what do we need saving from? Everything that keeps repeating this message to us that we are just a bag of flesh and that we operate like a computer and that all we need is perfect health or beating disease. That's what we need saving from, because that is part of what has created our conundrum right now. So what is a way to get through that? To remember that we are more than just this body, but that our body is a big part of this embodiment task that we all have. So we need to learn how to balance this in a way that we honor our body, that we nurture it, that we take care of it, that we make sure that if this is the part in me that embodies, that brings all this into 3D, I need to make sure it works right. I need to make sure that it can provide enough energy, not only for myself to be healthy, but also for other people that are in my presence, to be reminded, to feel this spiritual impulse, and perhaps to awaken in some way. Do we have to convince them of something? Do we have to explain things to them? Do we have to have proof or studies that there is something like a higher power, something like the source of all existence, that exists? No. But that's how we all try this, and this is our mistake. It's the inner experience that can do that for a person. And this is what we forget sometimes. We forget to remember that it is in us, this God force, and that all we really need to do is to commune with it. Yeah? And for a moment, even if it's just 5 minutes, like we do this here together, to let go of being sort of on this 3D autopilot, where everything around us is more or less triggering and conditioning us with the fear that one day this 3D life ends. It's crazy making. And so you can see, perhaps, maybe a new way for you to contextualize, to understand the prayer as a way to heal yourself from this single-sided view. And by you consciously choosing to be here or to engage in prayer with higher power and choosing to make your words become alive, you are embodying this spiritual connection with higher power. So let's work on the words that we want to become alive. We do this here every day, that we add the focus for our prayer. We have a fundamental framework here. I call this the grace prayer, something that just universally asks for everything that needs to be healed to be revealed, and then for everything that needs to be healed to be healed. And we're addressing this to grace, to the higher power. We just want to call it this way. Surrendering our ego will, our ego mind to this higher power, basically saying, well, you know, if I let my ego run the show, I'm going to be in constant fear of dying. So for me to really commune with this and to remember this, I need to let that go. I need to let go of my error perceptions. So let's see what you guys would like to focus on. Sorry, I have something in my eyes that's distracting me. Patience, Annette shares. What other words do you want to become alive here with your prayer? I would like to inject remembrance, just for the ability to remember this. The serenity, Becky, yes, serenity tunes us into the reality that there are some things that are in our control and some things that are not in our control, and to focus our personal energies onto the things that we can control. In other words, also a reminder of self-responsibility, that I can only take care of the things that I really can take care of, and that I kind of have to take care of these things that I need to take care of. The responsibility. Gratitude. Cheryl shares. Amanda is bringing in our children. Let's formulate something out of these words, guys. We want to pray for the patience and serenity. To remember the purpose of our journey. For ourselves, our children, and our soul self. How about that, guys? Does that work for you? The patience and serenity to remember the purpose. Let me format this for you here. You see how I'm doing this live? The patience and serenity to remember the purpose of our journey, for ourselves, for our children, and for our soul self. Do you like it? Is that something you would like to pray to? or 4? Okay, wonderful. Then let's lean back, ground yourself real quick, arrive one more time. I hijack your minds a little bit so you get to arrive back into your body. I'm going to turn on some music for you. I hope I'm getting the levels better with each time. Do you hear the music? Okay. Grace. For thee I thirst. Into your hands I commit my life, my body, mind and spirit, heart and soul, and all error perceptions thereof. Thy will is my will. Thy will be done through me. I pray for patience and serenity to remember the purpose of my journey, for myself, my children, and my soul self. Heal me at depth. Reveal all that needs to be revealed, and heal all that needs to be healed. So that I can glorify you, God, I am. Here and now. And at all times. Thank you. Beautiful prayer you guys came up with today. When we close a prayer, it's really important that we tune into the gratitude of this experience. And also that we bring it into expression, that we embody this gratitude. My gratitude goes to you, to all of you who joined this energy prayer here today, for your attention, for your interaction, for designing a prayer here together. This is what embodiment is, guys. This is what spiritual interaction and spiritual connection is. Thank you, everybody. You can leave the energy prayer now, so I can welcome all of you who would like to actually go into deeper dialogue, to go into deeper reflection and sharing about the challenges and the topics that you are going through in your life right now. I am an energy healer, energy coach, and energy therapist. So in my profession, aside from doing these daily energy prayers, I help people through these transformations in their lives, whether it be changing the job or starting your own business or breaking up, leaving a toxic or unhealthy relationship, or getting yourself into a place of attracting a more healthy partner, or dealing with addiction, dealing with the addiction or mental challenges of family members, of loved ones, etc. So many reasons why we sometimes need someone to guide us through these transitions and to remember. So I'm a big tour guide for anyone who feels this impulse to connect more, to really seek this inner experience of their spiritual self. And the only thing that really qualifies me, besides having spent probably 3 decades in studying all of this systematically, is that I have been going through this, that I am embodying this, and produced a bunch of online courses and community courses and all kinds of modalities that can help people with these transformations in life that allow us to grow into our higher expression. I'd like to talk to you guys about health and why health is such a big issue nowadays. It has to do with the topic that we just prayed for. It has to do with us being able to remember what health actually is, and specifically, of course, holistic health that is composed of more aspects than just our cells and our biochemistry, our neurotransmitters and our joints and our blood and our organs working correctly. Health is when we are in congruence, is when how we see ourselves from within, how we present ourselves in our life on the outside through the activities and the daily choices that we make, the health regimens too, and embody this, miraculous creation, if you will. The human body is a truly miraculous creature at this point, the creature that shows the highest level of evolution on this physical level. Not just because we have, certain aspects of metabolism that are not discovered yet by medical sciences, but also because we have this really, really strong interaction between our consciousness and our body. And if one looks at health or holistic health as the congruence, how well our physical and our spiritual, and with it of course also our emotional and mental health, how well they match up, then you can literally infer that embodiment is not some kind of esoteric new agey goal, to just sort of float around in your life or sit on the mountaintop somewhere and meditate all day, but that it is much more complex, namely to bring all these different dimensions of ourselves together, to align them. And when it comes to health, just like we just spoke about this connection, this spiritual connection, it's something that needs to be claimed. It's something that needs to be chosen. But why is this such a big problem for us here in this world, in the 21st century? I'd love to hear from you what your thoughts are. Why do you think health is such a big topic right now, not just because of the obvious that there is a pandemic that on some level scares us, yeah, reminds us of our mortality. But why is health in general such a big topic? What do you think? Why is there a multi-billion, I think it's a trillion, actually it's a trillion, more than $1 trillion industry around health? Why do you think that is? When we look at health from the perspective of internal and external works, we look at, number one, the conditions, the outer conditions, the milieu, is this condition conducive for a disease or conducive for health? Then we look at that which needs to be removed, right? To not further, say, contaminate the person, to not further put, more toxins or more germs or whatever it is that was identified as not conducive for health. We need to reduce this, we need to remove this. And then we have a third part to healing, namely the integration, where we need to connect all of this and help someone to integrate this into their daily routine, into their self-care, into their daily expression of self-love. Annette is sharing here, she thinks the reason why health is such a big topic is because there are a lot of distractions. Would you like to elaborate on that? What kind of distractions? You mean distractions that distract us from living a healthy life? Is that how you mean that? Or simply distractions that distract us from even paying attention to health? Is it maybe something that we need to consciously be reminded of? Yes, awareness warrior, you're right. A lot of or big part of the reason why health is such a big topic is because of the choices that humans make. But wait a minute, what kind of choices? You probably mean unhealthy choices. Is that right? Because there's nothing wrong with choices when they come from the awareness and the empathy to feel when something is healthy and when something is unhealthy. So Annette is elaborating here, yes, it's both. It's the overall distraction, just our focal point being distracted away from health, but also the distraction maybe through temptations, yeah, that can then lead to what, awareness warrior says here, leading us to make bad choices, leading us to make unhealthy choices. In a lot of cases, actually leading us to make unhealthy choices, thinking that we are making healthy choices. That's a bummer. This is why I often talk about gaslighting, collective gaslighting, and the dangers of consumerism, the dangers of convenience. Because there is a lot of things that we're sold to, or have been, or are being sold to us as a healthy and convenient choice. And yet turns out they aren't. What are some of these examples, guys? What are some of these unhealthy choices that you have discovered in your lifetime that were sold to you, like sold in the sense of like propaganda or mindset, as healthy or as, sort of the state of the art or something like that, that turned out not to be the case? I like what you're saying, Marigold. Modern living is not conducive to health. This is probably the simplest answer to my question. the reason why health is such a big topic is because it appears that life, the world that we find here, that we have to live in, doesn't seem to be conducive to health. We have to fight for health. We have to fight for healthy, clean air or clean water, clean food, clean buildings, if you will, clean relationships. We have to fight for this. It almost feels hostile. Yes, that's why health is such a big topic, and rightly so, guys. Yes, Becky, all different kinds of diet. Fantastic example. I've been around this dieting corner for a long time because I started my career as a nutritional consultant. And when I held public lectures about MSGs and colorants and artificial sweeteners and sugars as cytotoxins 35 years ago, people thought I had a tinfoil hat on. They thought I was a conspiracy theorist. And you'd think with all the science that we have and all the studies that proves, you know, how damaging they are for our health, that this has sunken into mainstream awareness. It hasn't. People still think I'm a conspiracy theorist when pointing out at the toxicity of most of the packaged food. And that's very sad when you wake up to that reality. But why is that also something that can activate a power in you? Because when you have the goal, when you feel this as your life's purpose, to embody health on all these different dimensions of self, as we called it earlier, on all these different levels, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, socially, and energetic. What does that mean when you find yourself in like an adverse condition? It means you have to respond. You have to make some very, very conscious choices, right? You have to claim your health. You have to say, no, I'm not buying that. There's too much sugar in there. No, I'm not eating that. There's artificial sweeteners in there. No, I don't want that for my kids because there's too many artificial colorants in there. There's too many taste enhancers in there. Too many pesticides, herbicides. You don't even want to let me get started on that. You have to claim this. You have to stand up and say, I'm only buying things that are conducive for my health. And a step further, I only want to engage in situations. I only want to work for companies or with people or companies that are promoting something that is based on health, something that is life promoting, that is strengthening and empowering to people, not weakening. I'm reading your chat here. Yes, Marigold suggests that one of the ways we could accomplish this was to return to a simpler lifestyle. I agree with you. Lifestyle can be tricky because, you know, flying around the world a couple times a year may be seen as a great privilege and a great sort of progress. Yeah, the world has become a lot smaller through this, and we all enjoy being able to discover and explore other cultures and landscapes. But is it really conducive for our health, for our planet's health? Yeah, we have to weigh this in. We have to call a shot. We have to be responsible. Yes, maybe we have to drop some habits. Maybe we have to drop our favorite chocolate bar because we realize how anti-health it actually is. Maybe we can do just small changes. Maybe we can just make choices that are more awake and aware. This is what we should focus on, in my opinion. We need to become more awake and aware, because when we are not able to report to ourselves, I am conscious right now, I am here right now, that means I'm most likely an autopilot. And when I'm an autopilot, I become susceptible to all these distractions that Annette mentioned earlier. All this overlay, and that overlay is not just through media, not just through other people's energies. It is the whole entire collective energy that is distracting us from health, because it focuses us on one aspect of being human only. And that in and of itself is toxic, to focus us on our physical existence only. In other words, the collective mindset makes us resist and refuse to explore our inner spiritual connection. And you can call this a conspiracy theory. I don't think so. Because if you look at anthropology, you can find that even relatively primitive Homo sapiens have expressed the need to connect on a spiritual level. And that is what we've lost here in our civilization. There's different stages of that and how that happened historically. The last sort of big pivotal moment was when we started preferring science over internal experience. And yes, science has brought us the training of our mind, the training of our mental, intellectual capacity, which was very important. But it did it in a way that it excluded subjectivity entirely. And here we have now a situation that we could call like a scientism worshipping society that focuses on numbers only, on the material expression only. And if you're asking me, that is what we need to be healed from. That is what the world needs to be healed from, and that is also the purpose of us being here right now. And if you can feel the words that I am saying, you can also see the connection to this corona crisis that we are experiencing and what a possible purpose of that could be. Aside from all conspiracy theories, what if this is needed to finally wake us up, to finally make us follow, and give us the courage to follow this spiritual impulse that we all have, that we all need to be healthy and to work into our higher expression, to embody that. Marigold is asking me what I say is not a conspiracy. Do you mean in regards to me pointing out that people thought it was a conspiracy? I was talking about the food industry, and I was talking about contaminants and toxins in our industrially produced food. Most of the stakeholders also own pharmaceutical companies. That is not a conspiracy, guys. It is not a coincidence that the pharmaceutical industry offers remedies that are caused by food products that they sold, perhaps with the deliberate intention to produce those symptoms. That part is the conspiracy, that, whether or not it's deliberate. But the truth, the facts are that our food makes us sick, and that our lifestyle makes us sick. And that unless we recover and respond to that awareness that we all feel when we are actually conscious in the moment. That we have to take care of our bodies, that we have to nurture our bodies, that we need to focus on more life-embracing, nurturing, and life-promoting activities, foods, environments, people, companies. I strongly suggest that you guys all start keeping a list somewhere on your fridge or whatever of companies or products or healthcare practitioners, influencers maybe, who feel really integrous to you in this time where it's really hard to speak up, where there's a lot of censoring and discrediting and shunning and social guilt tripping going on. These people, these companies, these places that are emerging right now, guys, those are people, places, institutions that you can look to in the future. No, that's correct, Marigold. True science doesn't censor information. Yeah. But most people are not aware what true science is, and they have not really been trained in that. And as an ex-scientist, I can tell you that scientism, yeah, the blind faith and blind trust in numbers, the worship of science, that is not what science is. Yeah, natural medicine is often blocked by big pharma. That's what Marigold says. Yes and no, actually it isn't. And this is what leads back to us. It is not blocked by it. It is that we are being bombarded with solutions that just happen to feel so much more convenient that we might not be interested in those natural medicine alternatives. I mean, one of the most effective natural medicines is meditation, breathwork, prayer. Most people, and actually every study that was ever done on meditation shows that it's good for your health. Not a single study out there that says the opposite. It's completely agreed upon. And how many people are actually doing it? Natural remedies, guys, are work. And most people are not willing to do this work. They have been programmed with wanting the shortcut, wanting the quick fix, not wanting to deal with consequences. So it is up to us to decide what remedies we are applying. And this is here within this self-healing community, the premise really, that we are looking for ways to self-heal, things that can strengthen our own miraculous self-healing power, that can tune us into what is life-embracing and what allows us to go into higher expression, regardless of what our circumstances are. And if we have to have the courage and the clarity to walk out of situations that are clearly life-degrading or even toxic. And this includes work situations, relationships, sometimes also whole entire family constellations, ways of making money, ways of treating our body, addictions, health regimens, diets, and so forth. It is up to us, guys, to claim our health, because we are living in an unhealthy environment. And I love the train of thoughts that you bring in here, Awareness Warrior, by returning to more natural lifestyles, by going into more harmony with, say, seasons and your geographical location. Right? Did you know that every landscape brings forth the corresponding plant medicine for the most common diseases in this area? Yeah. In other words, the weeds that you have in your natural sort of climate zone, geographical area, the honey that comes from your honeybees, yeah, in your area, the fruits and vegetables that grow in your area, they are already aligned to all the health challenges in your area. Did you know that? So yes, it's a non-brainer for an energy healer to say, go with the seasons, go with local. Of course, go with organic. Why would you not want to go with organic? It's sad that we have to call things organic when we actually mean the way nature did them. It's sad that we have to contemplate about something like vaccines that do a permanent change to our divine creation here, yeah, and being called somebody who is hostile because we choose to stay. I mean, whether or not you choose to, I don't want to go deeper into this topic. I've just recorded a whole workshop about this in 6.5 hours on my YouTube channel if you want. But for me to choose to wanting to be an organic human, the way God created me, all right? How can this be a hostile notion? How can this be against life? Yeah. So these are some of the deeper thoughts here that I wanted to share with you and that you wanted to share with all of us. Yeah, consciousness work is work, guys. It's not enough to just have these lofty, fantastical goals and then beat ourselves up in the process because we don't seem to find a way. We forget that it all starts within. It isn't about comparison. It isn't about competition. Our spiritual journey is not comparable with anybody else's journey because where you from, your spiritual home, your solar home, okay, yeah, has your personal purpose. Every soul has its own soul purpose, and the closer we can get to that, the more fulfillment we will feel in our lives. And so we naturally gravitate to that which fulfills us on this deep soul purpose level. Without a soul purpose, you will feel directionless, life will feel meaningless, and you will have no hope, and you will have no trust in yourself or any higher power for that ever, for whatever the word is. You know what I mean. So let's move into our meditation part here of this energy talk. On your screen you'll see the handout for step 8 of the Sacred Self-Healing course, which is an online course that comes with daily meditations and a workbook and exercises and all this. And you can see here that the distinction between the different layers or different dimensions of self, right, as I called it earlier, on how we perceive ourselves and how we can embody health through different conscious steps. See this here divided into 4 groups: body, mind, spirit, and energy. That's just a bit more simplified. And you'll see self-care and the awareness of the role of your body on your spiritual journey. When you look at the mental health here, the mind, it has a lot to do with us being willing to do this inventory. Yeah, and in the workbook you'll find a life wheel, and the meditation is also going to help us to do an inventory. Spiritually, it means that we need to affirm our health. We need to really choose it, yeah, and learn to trust in that inner compass. Learn to interpret, to really work with these signals that are coming from our body. Yeah, you guys are all aware of this, how our body expresses things to us. And then, of course, if you feel that pull into working with the more energetic aspects of it, to contemplate about these topics that we've contemplated about today, what healthy choices actually are and what they align a person to. They align you to something that's life embracing. Yeah, and how to implement the holistic perspective. So you can lean back now. All right, you're going to see me basically meditate here, close my eyes and meditate with you. I'm going to turn my microphone off and turn the music on. And I wish you a wonderful experience, inner experience now of health. And then we have just a few minutes afterwards to share. Yeah, this energy meditation went really deep for me, lots of visuals. It's supposed to help you with calibrating your own inner feeling for what's healthy and what isn't, for what is life promoting, for what is life degrading, if you will. And this is a very, very conscious process that we have to engage in. We have to develop a feeling from within that informs us if something is true to us or if something is unhealthy to us. And this is what this step, this meditation, and the workbook that comes with it, what that helps with. Any things that you would like to share with us? Comments maybe, insights, visuals perhaps? I hope you liked this format, with the energy prayer first, and then the energy talk, and then the energy meditation, the direct inner experience together. I actually noticed that through the energy prayer, the alignment for the meditation is much deeper right off the bat. So for me personally, this energy meditation went really, really deep. Alright, I can't see any text or anything that indicates to me that you're still there. So I'm letting you guys go. Thank you for your attention. Feel free to share the videos of this, my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. If you push the bell button, it actually sends you an email when the live starts. Yeah. Feeling compassion and healing. This is what we need to remember. I love you guys. I see you again tomorrow morning, 11:30 a.m. Florida time, here to do the energy prayer. And then on Fridays we have the life energy update following the energy prayer. Wishing you a wonderful day. Bye-bye.